Welcome to the CryptoEcology Files, where we build a speculative phylogeny and ecology for your favorite cryptids. Since the 19th century, there have been reports of strange creatures with wolf-like heads who walk upright like men from the dark, thick woodland of the Great Lakes region of North America. What are these bizarre creatures that toe the line between ape and canine? Where did they come from and why are they here? And what exactly do they want? Stick around and let's dig into the legend of the Dogman. While the folklore of these creatures may be woven into the ancient history of the continent, the species that would become known as the Dogmen were first documented in the Grand Traverse Gazette in Michigan on November 13, 1833. The report tells of a homestead and butcher shop raided by as many as 6 of these aggressive wolf people right under the lights of the Leonid meteor shower. Retrospective research has determined that the Indian Removal Act may have been responsible for the attacks, as the species had grown accustomed to the Queen of Kanawha offerings by the local Shawnee tribes. There has been much speculation made on the case and its connection with the contemporary astronomical phenomenon. The next notable sighting comes from Wexford County in 1887, when a team of lumberjacks reported ongoing interaction with a group of these animals. The team was tasked with removing a stand of trees where the animals were nesting. While most of the troop fled, a large male with a black pelt and silver mane remained around the lumber camp, making threat displays and unearthly screams, culminating in the men breaking camp as it, quote, stood on its hind legs, meeting the men's eyes and baring terrible teeth. More of these interactions took place as the human population in the area grew and land was cleared for farming. These interactions resulted in the earliest examination of the specimens. One skull found its way into the hands of zoologist Albert Gunther, who suggested it was a type of carnivorous lemur, naming the genera Feroxa. Although most interactions with these bizarre beasts of the North American wilds ended without serious incident, all of that was about to change. On April 9th, 1897, near the town of Buckley, the body of a local farmer, Donald Mills, was found in one of his back fields on the ground near his plow. Several of the so-called monkeys, an apparent coalition of bachelor males, had gathered around the body and were aggressively scavenging, driving off the native turkey vultures to feast on what remained of the farmer. The animals at first attempted to defend the remains from the search team, but scattered into the forest at the sound of rifle fire. The Mills mule was never found. It is not clear if Mr. Mills was killed by the Feroxids or was merely scavenged opportunistically. Attempts to track the animals proved fruitless, as each set of track led to a waterway and was lost. Over the first few years of the 20th century, habitat loss and waterway pollution further drove the species into marginal wilderness. The first confirmed attack on a person resulting in fatalities was during the brutal winter of 1917. The target of this attack, however, was the team of 3 horses pulling the wagon through the heavy snow. The driver, Leonard K. Nelson, was killed while defending his animals from the mobbing dogmen. When the sheriff discovered the scenes days later, much of the horses had been scavenged, but the driver's body could not be located. His skeleton was discovered in a tree cache on Applegate Mountain, some 150 miles away, in 1923. On the other side of Lake Michigan, in 1936, near Jefferson, Wisconsin, reports matching the identity of a Feroxa were linked to the Tamarack Swamp region. From 1937 and into the 1940s, a troop was established in the Bower Harbor area, becoming notorious for raiding fishing boats overnight, especially in the late summer. Occasionally, the troop would try to drive fishermen off of their catch with threat displays. In 1938, several miles south Robert Fortney was hunting duck along the Muskogong River when he was attacked by a rogue coalition of males that stood tall enough to look him in the eye and flash their large canine teeth at him. After several minutes of loud circling and screaming, Mr. Forney fired his shotgun into the air, frightening them away. In late July of 1957, a church near the Plate River suffered severe property damage when a troop raided a prepared funeral service in the early hours before dawn. Several Firaxa were killed by police and their bodies burned to control the, quote, spread of disease. Encounters like this became exceedingly rare through the later half of the 20th century. During the late 60s and early 70s, surveys were conducted to locate any surviving populations, but despite some anecdotal stories, the Dogmen appeared to be extinct. The species remained understudied, with very few remaining specimens existing in mostly private collections. It was in 1987 when DJ Steve Cook of Traverse City, Michigan, recorded a song about the Dogman legend that the fire was rekindled. Though it was supposed to be a prank, after the song's release, dozens of calls came into the radio station of supposed encounters from listeners. A renewed interest in the species led to further surveys in the early 90s, and although no sightings occurred, a 7-minute sound clip of low infrasound howls was captured from Beaver Island and is believed to be a recording of this species in 1988. Let's have a listen. It was not until 1989 that the most famed Firaxid came to the scene, the beast of Bray Road, later called Eddie by the public, who was first sighted by Lori Edrizi on a late fall night in 1989 at about 1:30 a.m. Eddie was reported to authorities along the length of Bray Road and the surrounding area of rural Elkhorn, Wisconsin, until he was struck by a vehicle on October 31st of 1991. Suffering several broken ribs from this incident, the lone male continued to be sighted in the area, moving north into the Kettle Moraine State Forest in 1992. Feeding on roadkill yet again on another quiet rural road led to another car accident, this time leaving Eddie with a broken femur and dislocated hip. The animal was taken to the Godfrey Animal Rescue in Palmyra, Wisconsin. His recovery was well documented in the media, going from feared monster of the forest to North America's last native primate. Despite his menacing appearance, Eddie turned out to be something of a gentle giant, capturing hearts with his rugged exterior and reserved demeanor. He stood an imposing 4 foot 3 inches, and although malnourished, he bulked up to an impressive 28 kilograms or 62 pounds. Once he was healed and cleaned up, it was decided that he would be transferred to a refuge on Detroit Island off the Door Peninsula, where the Frederick Station was established in the spring of 1994, along with 3 females that were relocated from Ogons Bay, and another female and juvenile male were added to the reserve when they were captured scavenging on Highway 2 in Michigan. In the years since, Michigan has also established their own reservation with their own research facilities. The G.G. Matthews Research Station was established in 1996 on Hog Island, and it was expanded to Gardner Island in 2002. Firaxa is a genus of large omnivorous North American adapiform primates. They're only distantly related to the extant strepsirrhine or wet-nosed primates of the Old World, like lorises and lemurs. Considered to be the most carnivorous extant genera of primates, Firaxa mathusi is the only extant species of Firaxa. They're commonly called the Mackinac devils or faux babuin. They are currently found in fractured populations in both upper and lower Michigan, in the Wisconsin Door Peninsula in the U.S., as well as the Manitoulin Island and Bruce Peninsula in Ontario. This species is distinguished by red eyes, canine-like head, pointed ears, nocturnal behavior, and adaptations for shoreline foraging with a fondness for roadkill and scavenging. They live in social groups, sometimes numbering 5 to 11 individuals, with fossil records suggesting that they once had much larger populations with more complex seasonal troop coalitions. Females give birth to 2 to 3 young that weigh 95 to 135 grams, while males are generally driven out of the troop at about 3 to 5 years of age, depending on when they develop the signature aggressive combative behaviors of the species. Females remain with their mother's troop well into adulthood, assisting with the care of siblings and cooperative foraging. The banished or rogue subadult males may live solitary lives, but may also form small coalitions of 2 to 3 related males. These groups are not as organized as troops and have unstable, often combative hierarchies. These rogue coalitions are often bold and potentially dangerous to people that enter their large vagrant ranges. Despite this sometimes aggressive behavior, the species remains largely unstudied and was unknown to science into the 20th century due to its relative rarity and superstition. The species went extinct in the upper Mississippi Valley in the late Archaic period. A larger sister species, Feroxa canadensis, is also believed to have gone extinct during this time. By the early 12th century, the species population was isolated to select islands and peninsulas of the Great Lakes region. Due to the shy and wary nature and isolation, the species was rarely seen, although howling raiding parties sometimes ventured into populated shoreline settlements and occasionally followed river systems far inland. Early settlers experiencing these raids thought that they were being visited by evil spirits, witches, or werewolves. During the months of October to April, meat and eggs make up to 84% of their diet. Individuals are known to hunt food alone. This includes birds, rodents, rabbits, bats, small reptiles, fish, and amphibians through a series of specialized techniques. As a troop, they'll hunt larger prey such as deer, sheep, goats, and the calves of cattle, and even bison. A hunting troop generally targets young, sick, or elderly individuals with a strategic ambush. Once subdued by the troop, the prey is dispatched with a killing bite to the throat. The prey can be cached in trees or rock crevices for weeks or even months. Despite being capable predators, almost half the meat consumed is acquired via scavenging and kleptoparasitism, with documented cases of them stealing kills from wolves, cougars, bears, and lynx. Feroxa have been known to travel up rivers and along railroad tracks and rural roads for hundreds of miles to collect and consume carrion and refuse. These are the largest extant strepsirrhine primates, with adult males regularly reaching 35 kilograms or 77 pounds, while adult females rarely exceed 20 kilograms or 45 pounds. Feroxa have powerful canine-like heads with large canine teeth capable of inflicting powerful bites. Adults of this species display relatively large saber-like canine teeth when threatened or competing for mates. These teeth are also used to inflict killing bites on large ungulate prey during winter hunts. The fur of this species is polymorphic and ranges from fawn and light gray to dark chestnut in females, while the males are typically dark gray or black and develop a silver mane and cheek pouches as they mature. The winter coat is usually lighter than that of the summer coat, and the tail amounts for 20 to 30% of the overall body length. It is used for balance when running both in the trees and on the ground. Being nocturnal, feroxids have relatively large, red-hued eyes and sensitive ears. Perhaps most impressive is their excellent sense of smell that allows them to track carrion over several hundred miles. Feroxa have long, nimble fingers, which they use to build a woven spherical onion-shaped nest of mostly pine, named Pincetruli by the early French trappers. These types of nests are lined with feathers and fur, soft foliage, and sometimes cloth. These specialized nests are generally about 30 to 40 centimeters and are used in the first few weeks of life. They became popular gift boxes in the 19th century, where they were believed to have been made by porcupine due to the frequency of the quills within, and are one of the many proposed origins of the Christmas ornament. Pinsatrui are never reused as nests. However, in regions where there is inadequate cash available, food may be stored within them. Adults sleep in woven open-top nest. However, these are reused daily. The long digits, coupled with their high intelligence and curiosity, allow them to manipulate bear-proof locks and containers with latches. In captivity, they can live for around 30 years, while the lifespan in the wild is understudied. The young are vulnerable to predation from martens, cats, bears, wolves, coyotes, and birds of prey, while the adults are not regular prey for any extant predator, making them an apex predator themselves within their range. However, behavior observations indicate that the troop responds defensively to the presence of puma in their territory. These cats are extirpated in their range, but may have been a predator for adult Feroxa in years gone by. Feroxa are avid and capable swimmers and will retreat to the water when disturbed, and if given the opportunity, can dive into the water and vanish. They've been observed diving up to 30 meters while foraging and staying underwater for up to 7 minutes at a time. A white fisherman, Lake Superior, found an adult female tangled in their net, trawling at a depth of 52 meters in 1978. The primates have a unique scream-like vocalization that is coupled with low-frequency infrasounds. These vocalizations are often confused with the sounds or calls of the North American wood ape, Yahoo squatchi, with similar habitats and vocal range. And if the North American wood ape interests you, stick around, because we have plenty more North American cryptids to reconcile on our cryptophylogeny chart. We'll see you next time.